Welcome to Simple and Clean, a Kingdom Hearts podcast. I'm Mayanna, Berrin.
And I'm Mischa, Stanton.
And we are once again joined today in the magical, mystical realm of where gummy ships fly around by our guest. Introduce yourself, guest.
Hi, my name's Mia Berrin.
Sounding familiar.
I'm Mayanna's younger sister. Hello.
Yeah!
I'm a musician. I have a project called Pom Pom Squad.
Yeah, she
where
does.
I sing and I write songs and produce and
wears
stuff.
sleigh outfits.
And I wear a lot of outfits. I do.
But Mia and I grew up playing the Kingdom Hearts games together. I was usually driver because I was a control freak.
Well, the thing that I always say is that I've played a lot of video games, but that's only half true because you guys played a lot of video games that you did not let me play.
Yeah, it's true.
Because usually there were only 2 players, but I was really good at the puzzles because I could kind of watch and assess.
Yes.
Because you weren't overwhelmed by having to do combat. You could just use your brain.
Yeah, I was like, go over there.
Yeah.
Go over there. Don't miss that
I
thing.
did not get through Portal 2 without Mia. That was definitely...
Yeah, I am very proud of that, actually.
She was so good. She was just like, it's over there. And I was like, I am the dumbest person who's ever lived.
You're not the dumbest person who's ever lived.
Thank you. I'm
just good at puzzles. And now that I actually get to be the hands-on one, it's been fun having, exploring that experience. And now Shelby will usually be the one pointing things out to me. So that's nice.
Hell yeah. Well, proud sister moment is Mia beat Cuphead. Just straight up beat Cuphead.
I did. I got it during the pandemic because I was like, oh, this is a cool looking game. And then I was on the first fight and I was like, wow, this is really hard. This is getting really difficult. I was like, am I doing something wrong? Is something glitching? And I Googled it and it was 10 most difficult games.
Yep.
Number whatever. I think it was 2 was Cuphead. And
brutal.
I don't know. I locked in. I had to beat it. And this was during the pandemic. So there was nothing but time to beat Cuphead. But I remember after the 20th time battling Dr. Robotnik, essentially the Cuphead version of Dr. Robotnik, I literally just stood in front of the mirror in the bathroom with my head down. I was like, what am I doing? I'm wasting my days. But I really, once I get into something, I'm playing Silk Song right now.
Hell yeah, she is.
Okay.
She played Hollow Knight too.
Yeah.
So do you consider yourself a gamer, Mia?
Yeah, yes. I think I am in an interesting spot as a gamer in that I do really love story-based games, mostly. I don't go at a game being I want to be the best at this thing and I want the challenge. I want to find all the secrets. I love that kind of stuff. And but I don't know, with Hollow Knight and with Silk Song, if I just start a game because I think it's cool and then it becomes very challenging, I'm I need to be good at this.
Because you're falling in love. You've locked in.
Yeah, there's just this little strand of pride, ego in me where I'm I need to finish the game. It needs to get done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you do the secondary ending of Hollow Knight?
I didn't.
That's fine.
Hollow Knight is
That's
one,
self-care.
I still haven't beat the Cuphead DLC because I was out of practice for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's one level where you're fighting a kind of cowgirl Western character that I was just fuck this. I still need to finish it. It was just that was another level. And once you're out of practice, I had to remap all the controls for Cuphead because they're stupid. And anyway, all this to say, yeah, I beat Hollow Knight once and I was that's enough.
Yeah, I think that's okay. And now you're playing Silk Song and are you loving
Oh, she's so cute.
I love her.
I feel they're doing kind of the greatest hits of Hollow Knight where they have a little singing character. Well, they have a lot of singing characters in this one, but Mila in Hollow Knight was the little singing bug who was hacking away at a gate. And then I'm oh great, another little cute singing bug who's hacking away at a gate.
And I'm not really a Hollow Knighter, but I'm so glad you guys get to silk your song.
Yes,
Thank
after
you.
waiting so long to song that silk.
You guys earned it.
Yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying in the Psychonauts level. Okay, you wait however many years for a sequel and then it's finally here.
Hell yeah. Speaking of music in games, from singing bugs to some other stuff that's singing, usually Ariel and sometimes Sora. unfortunately, sometimes, Kingdom Hearts' music.
Yeah, let's talk about the music of Kingdom Hearts today. That could be fun.
Yes. Well, first, Mia, what's your take on Kingdom Hearts? What do you think of it as a gamer?
I think that it's proof that like alternate universes exist because
say more.
Like there's no universe in which this game should exist. Like there were literally two CEOs in an elevator. They're like, what if we just like combined our two franchises?
And they were roommates.
Yeah.
And they were roommates. But I just feel like that all the laws of the universe tell me that this game should not have happened. And like, listen, I'm so glad it did, you know? But I do feel like it is proof that there are like, we're in a weird timeline. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we already know that because of everything else. But Kingdom Hearts was what tipped me off to that, I think.
So I've been getting a little bit of the family lore about you guys playing these games, but can you think of like a good memory of y'all playing Kingdom Hearts as children? I need this lore.
Well, it's funny because I was actually talking about this recently. I was on tour and Mayanna and my mom came on a few dates, like was driving the van and like helping out, backstage. Cool. It was very cute. And Lauren, one of my other bandmates, has also played Kingdom Hearts. And we were talking about kind of, specific memories of playing the game. And Lauren was talking about how she played it at her cousin's house and like when they beat the game, they all cried. And our mom was like, oh yeah, you guys did the same thing. She's like, yeah, you guys beat the game and you all cried. And I was like, really? Like, and I was, I've asked my mom this question too, because she's like a Black Puerto Rican woman from the Bronx. And she had like 3 kids who were obsessed with like anime and video games. Yep. And it could not be further from like her experience, as a teenager and as a kid. And we've had the conversation where I was like, was that kind of weird for you? Like, was that kind of like a bit of the learning curve? And she was like, yeah, but that's just like what you guys were into. And so she kind of locked in, not to keep using the phrase lock in, but she kind of locked in and she would like help me find things on eBay and she would be like in the trenches, like looking for costumes for us and all of the Kingdom Hearts figures and everything.
Which was hard back then. It was it was really hard. And like now you can buy like a Kairi cosplay on Amazon.com and that pisses me off, honestly.
They literally just announced an entire fashion line at Hot Topic just for Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
In 2025, yeah.
And it's a lot of pieces.
I'm not surprised. Mm-hmm. But it does piss me off like in a way where I'm like, I'm glad that it's accessible now, but like the struggles that we faced. Like there's a mall near me that I love to go to and it has like 3 anime stores. That was not an option when we were kids, and it made me feel crazy.
I feel like the ecosystem at malls is like anime stores have become an invasive species that's taking over the rest of the ecosystem.
It's like blind boxes everywhere. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, I do think that like the Pop Mart-ification of the blind boxes has like created a cultural phenomenon, as you know, if you've ever heard of Labubu's. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Ever heard of those? You guys
Certainly
ever heard of those
have.
guys?
Well, you know what's so funny too is the Pop Mart store online, I would see the Labubu before it was a big whatever, and I was like, that thing's ugly as hell.
Mayanna was trashing on Labubu's but way before it was cool.
I am not. I've never related to a Labubu personally. Like, I love a little big-eyed guy, but he's just...
The teeth.
He's too mischievous for me.
It's the
like,
teeth
I
for
love
me.
a sweet, cute, innocent guy. But anyway, point being, like, you can... these things are so much more accessible than they were when we were kids. But when we were kids, like, all of this stuff was... It felt more rare and more special in a way. But going back to the story I was telling, like, basically my mom was like... Yeah, you guys were all crying. And she's like, oh, the music was really beautiful. And like she, as an adult who was completely, had no vested interest other than like, okay, my 3 weird kids are into this, she kind of like immediately clocked that. Like also had a specific memory related to the music, which was interesting to me.
That's cool.
Yeah, it all ties in.
Yeah. So I want to just take a second to also note that in terms of Kingdom Hearts for music, we have 3 weird intersections. We have original orchestrations. We've got recorded like pop songs, some of which were like kind of existed already and then were like licensed. And then we've got reorchestrations of songs by other people, many of whom are dead. And so like for, again, like a commercial product to have an intersection of all three of those things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking up some quotes from the composer Yoko Shimomura last night, and apparently she felt like a lot of pressure needing to reorchestrate Disney themes from yesteryear to the PlayStation 2's sound system and making sure it was all going to be right, and like that Disney was it seems like Disney was kind of breathing down her neck a little bit.
That makes sense.
If I was Disney, I would too.
Yeah, they're very protective of their IP, famously, you know. What I was reading about her and about the project is she was like skeptical of taking it on because, you know, like something that I find really impressive just kind of generally about the soundtrack and specifically the original compositions is like she had to strike this very delicate balance of like being in conversation with like some of the best composers like of our time, like Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman, and like use some of the licensed like Disney music, but then you have to create these like compositions that also feel like they could have been made by a Danny Elfman.
Yeah,
or like
they like complement it in a video game way.
Yeah,
exactly. Or just like I was doing an experiment with Shelby where I was playing some of the music from Kingdom Hearts, and we've played it together, but I was like, what world do you think this song is from?
Good question.
And a lot of them, like, she was able to guess correctly because there are thematically a lot of similar motifs in like the Alice in Wonderland world and the Alice in Wonderland soundtrack, you know, and like Nightmare Before Christmas world, particularly like the music particularly interests me because I do love Danny Elfman, and like it is crazy how much she was able to speak to the work of like these already existing pieces that are like, you know, incredibly famous in some cases, and still make something that feels like it could be in the Disney realm, in the Square Enix realm, in the you know, whatever the world of the character is. Like it is really
Square Enix world or like Kingdom Hearts world.
Yeah, like we talk a lot here about like the Disney versus Square Enix-ness of the franchise, but that punches through in the music in like a very like doubly pressuring way for Shimomura, right? So on one hand, like you said, like Disney scores are some of the most famous compositions of all time. And on the other side, you have to balance Nobuo Uematsu from the Final Fantasy games, who's one of the best people to ever compose anything, and he mostly did it for Final Fantasy games. Like Final Fantasy also has one of the most impressive soundtracks of all time in video games.
Yeah,
it's true.
So having to do both of those and then make them sound like each other and the same, like a fluid thing, like one piece, is just remarkable. It's impressive.
The other thing, too, to be mindful of is that, like, she had to compose these while the game was in development. And so she didn't necessarily have, like, a finished level, especially for the first game. She didn't have a finished level to go, like, okay, cool. Like, she was looking at the concept art and she was looking at, like, scripts and just, basically having to sort of conjure and evoke these feelings in the music. And I would say she did a pretty bang up job.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And I know it sounds weird to be like hashtag written by a woman, but it does feel like there's this like level of specificity and care and tenderness that I think she approached the work with that feels like it translates across the main three games. She did take a step back from some of the spin-off games. Like she would help orchestrate some of the major pieces, but then would let other composers kind of come in and handle some of the other levels, like as the game had like a bazillion spin-offs.
Yeah, be like, this is what I was thinking for Aqua. Do something with that.
Have fun, kids. Please, I'm so tired and stressed
I'm so tired. I've been working on Kingdom Hearts 3 for 17 years and they won't let me out.
One of the things that I have been thinking about was there's one theme. It's the first battle theme you hear in Kingdom Hearts 2 when Sora, Donald, and Goofy, exclusively in that order,
thank you,
are back together, and it's called Working Together. And it's just like kind of their main basic battle theme. And the thing that I noticed for the first time listening to it was there's a little triangle that's like the bass beat, and it's ding, 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 and it's three, and there's three of them, and they're working together.
And it's like swords clashing, and it's like for battles.
It's so clever.
I do feel like a lot of the score is very character-based, which is really cool. Like I was listening back to like the individual character themes as well, and to be able to kind of pull descriptors about who that person is based on the song is really interesting. Like for Sora's, it's very like heroic and upbeat and strong. And then like Kairi's is kind of like warm and soft and like nostalgic. And it's like I was also listening to like Kairi and Namine's themes, and they're musically kind of inverse of each other, which is very smart.
So clever.
You know, so there's a lot of that where like each piece feels very intentional. And I know that she is a pianist, I think, primarily. Like, that's her main tool of composition.
Piano plays a large part in the score.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that, like, she was going off of, like, Chopin and Beethoven. Chopin's one of my favorite composers.
Yeah, those were her big influences.
Makes sense to me.
Which is probably why I vibe so much with a lot of the song. Especially, I feel like that punches through in one of the pieces that I pulled for today, which was the Organization 13 theme. That like low piano on the lower end of the spectrum and chorals behind it and all just like minor keys and weird, but it really evokes like Moonlight Sonata. I feel like it's in the same tonal range.
It feels heavy. It feels
heavy,
like
yes.
obligation. Like it definitely, like you feel the weight of some force above you that is like pulling you in different directions when at least when I feel that one, where I'm like, oh man, we're about to be like in serious territory.
Well, yeah, and which works because Organization 13's whole thing throughout like several games plots worth is that they're like manipulating Sora, that they're pressing down on him, they're trying to make him do stuff. So that's cool. Yeah.
And you know what else is kind of crazy, like when we're all talking about this, is like this is a game for children kind of, and there's like all of these like very lofty like orchestral pieces, and it's like a very mature and like sophisticated score and soundtrack for like a game where Donald, Goofy, and Mickey Mouse are fighting with giant keys.
This is the thing.
What about that would make it not serious?
This is the thing we talk about a lot, and it's interesting to hear you say that it does come across even in the music. And like for you, Mia, as you know, as a person with a degree in music, like were there a lot of discussions when you were in school about kind of where video game music exists in the discussion of commercial music enterprises at all?
Not at all.
That's
Not
crazy.
even a little bit.
Did you talk at all about the elements that appear in this score? The choral elements, the pianos, there's like a use of timpanis in the score as well.
Yeah, I mean,
can you talk, like how did you learn about those elements and how they might contribute to what vibe appears before us?
No, my degree's in pop music, but basically, I mean, I can speak to that just as like a person who loves music and who listens to a lot of like orchestral arrangements.
Also, pop music's super complicated.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. It just doesn't have the same elements that I tried to call out here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because video game music, there's like a video game program that is now in the same building at NYU as like my program, which I am curious if there is ever any crossover, because there should be.
There should be. Pop music feels like that.
Yeah, like even though there has been more of an appreciation in the last like maybe 10 or so years for video games as like an art form, I do feel like games like this and the scores of games like this are like still vastly underrepresented. And like I was like kind of doing a little bit of homework, and I could only find like 2 videos of anyone doing real critical like analyses of Kingdom Hearts music, which I found very interesting.
Which is wild.
And there's probably more out there, but that was kind of what I could, I think, I mean, if not, there should be, but.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I know we live in Los Angeles, Mayanna, but like at the Hollywood Bowl, like they do full orchestral concerts of video game scores, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and movies, like they'll do like orchestral playthrough of like Jurassic Park or like Spider-Verse. Like I went to see that in concert, and the overlap between popular music and video game music, I do feel like would be, like, I feel like a lot of the same elements that make a pop song memorable, I feel like would be applicable to what makes like a video game theme or score memorable.
Yeah, something about video game scores that I feel like kind of goes largely overlooked is like how difficult it is to create a song that can be looped over and over again for like maybe over an hour without becoming grating.
Agreed.
You know, like I think about like an Animal Crossing too, for example, where like there's different hourly music, and that music has to be on a short loop for 60 minutes. Like how often do you listen to one song straight for 60 minutes and like not get bored sick of it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there's a video game that makes me think about this all the time. It's Balatro. Mia, are you familiar with Balatro?
No.
Balatro is like a roguelike deck builder for poker hands. Like you're taking a normal deck of cards and trying to build the best poker hand, but you can like turn one into a wild card or turn one of your twos into like a steel two, and that has different abilities and stuff. And you get jokers that do... Anyway, the point is to just make big numbers. But it's set up to look like video poker. Like that's sort of the vibe that's going on.
The aesthetic,
and I can play that game for 14 hours straight and not get tired of it. But there's only one song. There is one piece of music, and it loops forever in a game that makes you want to play it forever. Mm-hmm. And it's so difficult to nail that in a way that won't... Because if you're going to pin all your hopes on one song in your addictive game, you better hope the song isn't the thing that turns people away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's extremely hard to pull off. And I was thinking about this when I was listening through some of the Kingdom Hearts. Like, I was listening to the, like, concert arrangements, the big, orchestral concert arrangements. And I think a lot of games get away with it by doing something simple and catchy. And for Kingdom Hearts, I feel like it's these really, like, complex pieces that even if it's on a loop, like there's so many different parts. Like there's never kind of like a jingle that repeats. I mean, there are some, but like...
Well, there's like main motifs, but like, there's like so many different layers all tumbling over each other on top of each other and never tripping each other up, which is so skillful.
Yeah.
The other thing, too, is every world's theme has two variants because you have your exploratory variant and your combat variant. And the combat variants carry a lot of the same thematic like overtures of the exploratory, but you have to add this additional element of usually like it's an increased BPM or it's the introduction of like either a new instrument or something, but like...
That's where they love to throw the timpanis in.
Yeah, exactly. And they have to be like instantaneously transitional because you might be literally wandering around the map and then immediately a fight starts and it has to just shift over and then shift back.
Yeah, and feel pretty seamless.
I know that there's some games that like they sort of compose both on top of each other and they have them both running in the background at all times and one is at like completely quiet and like they just like fade back and forth from one to the other so that it's like seamless.
Because I know Psychonauts has that too, where they have like your base theme and then it kind of shifts into a different theme when you do fighting. Yeah. I think it's called adaptive. I think that's what it's called.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's pretty standard in video games these days. We're like, I would not say we've left them behind, but like when you compare it to something like Final Fantasy X, a game we love to bring up on this show as well, like that game, like stuff's going on in the exploratory and then sound of breaking glass and the score completely shifts and they're kind of disconnected in a way that like Kingdom Hearts never has that problem.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess I've never thought about that particular element, but it's true. Like I'm thinking about different ways that games transition musically, and like in a turn-based, fighting style type video game, it's like you literally get like a and then you transition into a battle.
And typically also it's the same song no matter what part of the map or like if you're doing the combat song, unless it's like a big boss fight, it's like the same song throughout the entirety of the game.
Well, we talked about this a little bit, Mayanna, that I've been playing Expedition 33. Yeah. Expedition 33 at least has a different battle theme for each like area, which is better. Yeah. As opposed to Final Fantasy X, which I think just had the one song.
For most of it, I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like when it comes to the world themes versus, as you said, like the character themes, like because those character themes are super iconic and super memorable and recognizable. And what I think is also interesting about those themes is you only really hear them maybe once or twice throughout the whole game. Like, especially like Kairi's theme, you probably hear that theme maybe 4 times over the course of a 30-hour game. And it's like the 4 times she shows up, basically. But it still lingers and it's so memorable. Even when you kind of hear it in passing, like you immediately lock in and know that it's her theme.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I love Kairi because I always just love the girl character. I am a woman apologist. But respectfully, like, they don't give her that much to do. Like, they don't really give her all that much, like, personality or like life as a character. Like she always needs to be saved. She can never defend herself. But I do feel like the music does sort of imbue her with these qualities that like the character is describing. Like we kind of have to just trust Sora in what he believes about Kairi, because like there's not a lot of opportunity for her to like get her moment.
Yeah.
Yes, but to your point, like those scenes then also rely on the character themes in the score, because like Kairi's theme is always like tender and about to be parting, and you know it's always like deep and emotional piano and strings arrangements that like they lean on that and be like, it's a Kairi scene, you're gonna feel some stuff and this is what you're gonna be feeling.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Like you really have to put a lot of trust in the character score to kind of like imbue her with that like warmth and earnestness and nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, all this to say, like, it just does a great job of kind of giving more life to these characters, you know? Like, this was not an era where we were doing kind of like the very multidimensional, multifaceted character arcs the way that like a lot of video games are now, with like morality systems or whatever, you know? Like, the characters in Kingdom Hearts are like pretty fixed, you know what I mean?
I just had a flash of Donald Duck trying to refer to Sora as boy from God of War 2018, and Donald Duck going,
It's a pretty good impression.
That's
good.
We're working on all of them.
That was a reach of an impression.
I thought it was good. I thought you did a good job. I think you can claim that.
Thank you.
You know, like, and I don't say this, I love Kingdom Hearts, so I'm not saying this in like a derogatory way, but it's like the character arcs are pretty stagnant. It's sort of like Sora is hero boy, Kairi is damsel girl. Like, I think like we get a little bit more complicated with like a Roxas and a Riku, you know, they're a bit more multifaceted, you know, because they have good qualities and bad, versus like a Sora or a Kairi are completely, you know, moral, good at all times.
That is, you know, that is interesting. And maybe I'd like to like divert from the music just tangentially to wonder about the fact that like the stars of the mainest games have the most simplistic and understandable motivations, and that if you're the kind of person who wants to dig deeper into more complex things, there are side games for you to find. Like, I wonder if that was intentional in part of the marketing and why they did that with all the side games, or if Nomura-san is just a monster like that.
Well, you know, actually, I when I was doing a little bit of my Nomura research deep dive, the thing that he wanted to do with the spin-off games was he wanted to have games where the main character wasn't Sora. Like he straight, that was like a thing he straight up was like, I would love to explore some of these other characters. And the side games were his way to do that. And I think that like one of the themes that sticks with me to this day, and it's kind of interesting because it's a character's theme, but it's also a boss fight theme. Spoiler alert for 358/2 days. But Xion, who's one of your main characters, is also the final boss. And what's interesting to me about that is like they take her theme and then they run it through like 4 different kind of phases, because it's a very long boss fight with multiple different iterations of her like monster form. It used to be a song that I would do cardio to, because I remember there would be these long kind of stretches of like electric guitar going crazy. And it's just like, there is this energy that I think that even in Xion's theme, which its base theme is very reflective and very beautiful, but like it can have this sort of edge that they integrate into it. Like, I don't know, there's just a lot, to the point you said earlier, Mia, like there's a lot of complexity, and video game music, I would say overall gets a bad rap. Like, I don't know, have you guys seen Tar? Have you guys seen the movie Tar?
Yes, I have seen Tar.
I haven't, but I know the gist.
Yeah, so like her penance at the end of everything, I won't say exactly what her crime is, but you can kind of glean it, is she doesn't get to do, you know, Bernstein compositions anymore. And she instead has to be the conductor for lowly video game music concerts. And that's considered like her great humiliation.
That sucked.
Oh, that's really how the movie ends?
That's the last scene in the movie.
And it felt, as a gamer, it felt bad.
It felt really shitty. It really hurt like me personally. And I think that video game music, especially in like a classical music context, like where they're at these big concert halls where you hear the greats like Mozart and Beethoven and Chopin and all that stuff, I think we think of it as like lesser. But one, a lot of these composers are influenced by those very same classical musicians.
Right.
And they're just as complex. Like,
yeah, I think especially in the case of like a Kingdom Hearts or a Final Fantasy, like the orchestral arrangements are really beautiful, and you know, there are live concerts for a reason. And I think that, you know, the average person who is maybe not as knowledgeable about, you know, classical music, like I think if they had to kind of guess which one is from a video game and which one is not, I wonder how they would do, you know,
Well,
when
I
faced
think
with like a completely orchestral arrangement.
yeah.
That's a great point, but I do think that they would be able to figure it out, but not because they're better. I think it's the kind of thing where like people can tell wines apart, even though they've like proven that when you take away labels and like don't tell anybody about what the flavor notes are supposed to be, like people can't tell wines apart. Like I think there's just like a calcified culture around like classical is the best and anything after 1850 is trash that like disregards contemporary classical arrangement and orchestration as an endeavor entirely, which is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, if you love music, why would you not love the fact that music continues to be made in the style you like? That's crazy.
Hi, it's Mayanna. Thank you again so much for listening to Simple and Clean, a Kingdom Hearts podcast. We've been getting a lot of really sweet messages and engagement on Instagram and on Discord and on the Patreon about our recent Kyrie episode. That was a really fun one for us to put together, and I'm glad to hear that it's resonating with so many of you. So if there are other topics that people are especially excited to hear about, please let us know. We really like engaging with y'all, and it's so fun hearing about the things that y'all are excited about in regards to this franchise that Mischa and I are obsessed with. If you want to engage with us on Discord, you can go over to multitude.productions and join their Discord from their website. Come engage with us and chat about things that you're really liking about the podcast. We also have a Patreon. It's Simple and Clean Pod on Patreon. We're doing quips over there. We're doing more engagement stuff. And if you want to sign up as a free member, or you can join the $5 final mix tier to get ad-free versions of the episodes, you can let us know what you're liking and what you want to see from us in the future. We definitely want to cover the things that people want to hear about. So please, please, please let us know if there's anything that you're excited for us to start focusing on next. As some or all of you may be aware of at this point, Simple and Clean is a part of the Multitude Podcast Collective, which is a wonderful network of other podcasts featuring people sharing and talking about the things that they're passionate about, including the wonderful show This Guy Sucked. This Guy Sucked is a history podcast for haters by haters. Join historian Dr. Claire Aubin and a new guest every week to pull back the scholarly curtain on some of the world's biggest bummers. No dead person is safe, and the show's guests prove that the best part of understanding the past is criticizing it. New episodes every Thursday wherever you listen to your podcasts. As Kingdom Hearts fans, we over here at Simple and Clean know there's nothing more important in this or any world than the drip, the threads, the look, which is why we're thrilled that we've got the support of the amazing drip crafters over at Insert Coin sponsoring this episode. Insert Coin creates stylish, approachable, and size-inclusive apparel for so many of your favorite video game fandoms like Ace Attorney, Fallout, God of War, The Last of Us, and so many others. Based in Essex, just outside of London, everything Insert Coin makes is in partnership with the studios behind your favorite games. Right now, they're celebrating their 15th birthday, and with our promo code Simple and Clean, you can get 10% off your purchase and help support us while we yap about Sora's big shoes. Visit insertcoinclothing.com and use promo code Simple and Clean for 10% off. That's insertcoinclothing.com for 10% off.
Well, I think music is there's a lot of preconceptions around genre. I mean, it's like
yes, as a pop artist, please talk about this.
Say more words. Yes.
I mean, it's like you have, like, for example, like we're in a very like poptimist wave of culture right now versus like when we were younger, like pop music was, you know, when you're a teenager and you're like cool and you want to be a cool kid, it's like pop music is lame, pop music is bad, pop music is boring, pop music doesn't do anything cool, you know? And I think culturally we like the pendulum swings, like, not to be all philosophical, but
no, please.
That's what we do here. This is what it's weird.
Yeah, it's like they say that like culture is in thesis and antithesis, and like, you know, or in like artifice or versus authenticity. And I think we're in kind of an artifice moment in history where it's like pop music is everything and everybody wants kind of big, sparkly glam. Nobody wants like, you know, we see like a very specific response to like independent art where like if you're on an app like vying for people to listen to your music, like you're cringe versus like if you're a major pop star right now, like you're cool.
Right.
Versus, you know, there are other periods of time like in the 90s, for example, where like grunge was the cool type of music, or like rock was cool and pop was seen as like too overly artificial and saccharine and boring, you know, uninteresting or like lacking complexity. And I think maybe there's like a little bit of an attitude towards video game music because I think like gaming culture is still like vastly misunderstood and like not super inclusive. Like I think it's way more inclusive than it used to be like when we were kids, you know. Like we would kind of go to like anime conventions and I always remember kind of feeling like the odd one out and that was sort of part of the reason that I kind of fell out of love with like anime and video games when I was in my like late teens to until like my, you know, early 20s when I kind of, you know, got back into everything. I think it's still kind of like a pretty small circle. And I do also think like certain areas of the gaming sphere are still like incredibly racist, very misogynistic, right wing. Like, you know, we see a lot of that, you know. So I do think that like gaming sits at this interesting facet in culture where there are games like Kingdom Hearts where like weirdly I think Kingdom Hearts like has this pull, especially in like POC and queer communities. And there's a lot of games like that that attract a different type of audience, but I think kind of largely in culture, the version of gamer that is popularized is like gross man in parents' basement type of energy.
Well, and to the point where like that kind of gamer created a controversy 10 years ago that is leading to the active collapse of our society. That is tied directly to gamer culture.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was so eloquently put, Mia. And I think that like it is interesting to, you know, trying to tie it back even into the music piece of it. I think quote unquote mainstream gamer culture, if you were to ascribe like a genre or a music to mainstream gamer culture, I think a lot of it is weirdly still like dubstep and like hip hop music. Like,
well, and then it's so funny that like when Kingdom Hearts 3 finally came around, Utada did a collab with Skrillex.
Like
right.
Yes. Who is a fan? You know, like to be fair.
Yeah.
But I think like we characterize types of gamers and types of gaming culture, I think, with like a hype machine. Like, you know, Worlds, which is this huge esports event for League of Legends, they usually will do a big collaboration with like one year it was like Duckworth, Keke Palmer. It was like 5 different rap artists, and they did this song called Giants because they were launching like a hip hop themed skin line around the same time. And then their big Worlds was either in like China or Paris that year or something like that. Like there's this idea of almost like Pitbull-esque Mr. Worldwide, like we're drinking all night and there's neon lights everywhere. But like that's not, to me, that's not really what I feel like gaming culture authentically is. I think that's like the aspirational, like we want to take a cool guy hat and put it on this thing.
No, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Peggle 2 announcement where there's like all those lasers and colored lights in the background. And he's like, we've got the next big thing in gaming, Peggle 2.
And then he jumps.
The lamest jump on earth. And it's been memed to hell. But like, that's what it is. It's like dudes who are trying to be the hype machine. It's not an actual hype machine.
No, like, and that's what I think is great about gaming culture. It's like we have club culture, we have like Vegas culture, we have Miami, South Beach, Mr. Worldwide culture. Gaming can carve out its own space for that. But I think it's weird because like very much like the conflict between light and dark in the Kingdom Hearts games, we have this like war within ourselves of like, I'm not this thing, I'm this thing because this thing's cool. And it's like, sure, cool can encapsulate lots of different things.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like, I don't know, I also think that there's certain types of music that kind of correlate with a level of casual or serious gamer, quote unquote.
That's a
like
great
I think
point.
about like a Lollipop Chainsaw or like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. It's like where it's mostly pop music or like radio pop, you know, or like a GTA, which I sort of associate with like, that's a game a dude plays.
That's a triple A
game. Yeah, like that's like someone who has no knowledge of like video games really can and probably has played like GTA.
Yeah, that's the game your mom's heard of, not our mom.
Yeah,
other moms.
Well, your mom was obviously a cool mom who talked about Kingdom Hearts at her fancy dinner parties. So
yes, she's like it's also interesting too because I think about like there's this one example. This is kind of a tangent, but like. A game like a Kingdom Hearts or like a Final Fantasy, like I remember, there was always sort of that understanding that like our mom, like didn't really understand, but was supportive of our interests regardless, if a little bit like wary. And I remember like she went back to college when we were younger and she took an animation class. And I remember like walking into her room and like her laptop was open with like a presentation she was working on, and it was like pictures of like Kingdom Hearts characters and Final Fantasy characters. And it was like a really cool moment of like, oh wow, first of all, like, very validating, but also this moment of like, it's not all that hard to understand if you kind of strip away the pretense of like anime's weird, video games are weird, like anything that, is kind of like. And I feel like anime and video games, especially now, are like definitely more of a popularized like version of just pop culture.
Yeah, the transformation of anime in the past 30 years.
Megan Thee Stallion cosplaying as Luffy. Like, Michael B. Jordan has a Naruto headband. Like,
Michael B. Jordan forced a major movie studio to dress him like Vegeta.
Yep.
Like, that's the power of anime.
We out here. And also the power of black people, to be fair.
Yes.
The power of influential black people.
And tertiarily, the power of Michael B. Jordan.
100%. Specifically.
Well, I did see this like video recently where this kid was talking about like growing up in the 2000s and like not having representation, and it was just him pointing to like random anime and video game characters and being like, they're black coded, right?
Yes.
You're telling me they're black coded? Someone's black coded? She's got to be mixed with something. Like, like I do feel like because there was just sort of less representation for us, like queer people, mixed people, people of color in general, like anime and video games did become like a bit of an interesting catch-all, because it's like obviously like I'm not Japanese, like that's not my culture, but I think just seeing any kind of like alternative to American culture that like kind of made no room for us, like it was something to latch onto in a way, and I think that that's kind of like a relatable like POC experience.
I agree completely, and I think that like one of the things, I think about a lot is just, that the three of us, we really did, seemingly by accident, nobody like forced this stuff down our throats, but like you and I, Mia, like really locked in on Sailor Moon. Like of all the toys in the toy store, it's like you could show me a Barbie and I'm like, yeah, that's neat, but like that girl over there is my homie. Like,
yeah.
I'll say, I also love a Sailor Moon. I was so into Sailor Moon as a kid. So
Sailor
yes.
Moon, well, again, not to tangent, because I could talk about Sailor Moon all day.
That's a different podcast.
Different podcast, but like, I think in a similar vein, like I remember one of my favorite episodes of Sailor Moon growing up was where Mako is trying to give Sailor Uranus, before we knew that she is also a Sailor Guardian, her scarf back.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I loved that episode, and I never like, I didn't, it was just like, I just loved that episode. And then they redubbed it like recently in the US, and it turns out that's like one of the gayest episodes of the series.
It's very gay.
Yep. And that it wasn't like it was not as friends, like she actively had a crush on her, and I think it's sort of like these series and stuff kind of develop with you. And even in that case, like I didn't know that it was queer, but like I'm queer and I just naturally gravitated towards it. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's sort of like when you can't find space, you'll make the space yourself. And I think like I'm trying to figure out how to tie this back to Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, let's here's the thing. Like, I think one of the things that we have talked about a lot is that, and Oscar mentioned it on the Kingdom Hearts 1 plot recap episode, is like, even Simple and Clean, like that house remix of Simple and Clean is like a song that launched 1,000 gays. Like, I think that like Kingdom Hearts' music and Kingdom Hearts as a franchise surprisingly and also not surprisingly, like once you kind of scratch beneath the surface, like that's a super queer game. Like, and it's a super queer experience, I think, to look around as you're growing up to the people around you, and people are changing and people are kind of choosing to embrace who they are or reject who they are or take on a false identity to mask who they are. Like there are those themes very prevalently in the text.
Like an outsider theme.
Mm-hmm.
It's the vibe is like, fellas, is it queer to care about your friends?
Yep.
You know? Yeah. Like, well, so speaking about... Ready for this? Speaking about carving out space and demanding to be taken seriously as an outsider, and also like the music of Kingdom Hearts.
Yes, please.
It interests me, Mia, because what you were talking about before about how like there's two modes to this score. There's the orchestral stuff that's in the world traversal and the battle music and the character motifs, and then the main theme songs, which are pop songs.
Yes.
And there's something about making this grand, epic, cinematic orchestral score and then putting a pop song in front of it that like demands you take the pop stuff seriously.
That's interesting. I mean, it's a strange choice. Like, just like looking at it on paper, it's a really strange choice, but like it's a cool choice. And I think it's also, this is somewhat sidebar, like something that introduced a lot of people to J-pop too. So I think that's part of what makes it like a bit of a formative experience for people. But like, it's interesting. Like, I don't know exactly what the significance is, but I feel like maybe there's a bit of a tie-in to be made between this extremely popular thing, which is Disney, and this somewhat more obscure thing, which is Final Fantasy, and the combination of those things being part of what makes the game so compelling in the first place. Like, it's weird choices, and I think there's also this kind of like theme of like when to embrace being incongruous and when to embrace being seamless, because like there are all these moments we've talked about where like the score seamlessly transitions in and out of battle themes, and it seamlessly transitions between like a Hans Zimmer score and a Danny Elfman score and a Final Fantasy score and this, that, the other. And then there's also like, why did they choose, like I saw an interview where they were talking about like when they were figuring out animating the characters, like, well, how do we deal with the fact that the Disney universe and the Final Fantasy universe like look so different? And the decision was kind of like, we're just going to let it be really different.
Embrace it.
We're just going to, like just let it clash a bit.
I'm also going to say something kind of weird, which is in Japan, which is where this game is from, Final Fantasy and Disney, I think, exist in a weirdly even popularity space. I think in Japan specifically, Final Fantasy is one of the most mainstream things, and Square Enix in general is one of the most kind of mainstream gaming studios in Japan, and Disney is super beloved in Japan. Like, famously, the most well-constructed, well-designed Disney theme park is Tokyo Disney Sea, which was licensed by a different theme park company. Like, they love and have an appreciation for Disney in equal measure to they have a love and appreciation for a franchise and a gaming landscape that they cultivated within Square Enix. And I think then when you add Utada Hikaru into that, she's one of the most top charting artists in Japan. And I think what's kind of funny about that is, from a business mindset, all of these decisions in Japan are a no-brainer decision. Like, biggest recording artist, biggest Western franchise, and our biggest franchise altogether. Like, it's a can't-lose scenario specifically for Japan. But when you take that out of that context and put it here, the only thing we knew about in the West at that point, like Mia and I were like, and Miles also, like, were kind of into anime, but like, I had never heard of Final Fantasy before Kingdom Hearts. I knew what Disney was. Everything else was new to me.
Yeah. So maybe the kind of contrast that I'm trying to call to attention is not like obscure versus mainstream, but like austere and kind of like, obviously the Final Fantasy series is pretty dark. Like, there's murder,
it's
there's
very
crime,
serious.
versus like Disney, which is like soft and like childlike and, you know, more innocent. Like, yeah, there's like dark stuff in Disney.
Bad guys die
like,
off screen,
you know.
famously.
Yeah, but like, you know, they do seem pretty incongruous, like, regardless of like obscurity in the US or not. Like, yes, they're both popular in Japan, but like thematically, it's a crazy combination.
100%.
Right.
Stylistically, it is, as you said, incongruous. I would also say to that point, too, it's like, do you feel at all, because this is one of the things that we're trying to figure out is like, is there anything to the idea that like Disney is a very childhood thing and Final Fantasy is a very like angsty teen thing? And putting those two things together and putting Sora at the center of that is like kind of an interesting starting point for like a boy on the verge of teenage angstiness kind of a thing.
Oh, like a coming of age angle. I mean, that makes sense. That's kind of an interesting way to look at it, as like Sora is the valley between childhood and teenagehood.
He's like the last teen who is earnest in a non-cringe way. Like he somehow protects himself from the cringe allegations by just being so himself.
I can't believe I'm going to be the one to quote the iconic pop star here. Sora's not a girl, not yet a woman.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To come back to it, like, how do you feel about those Utada songs?
Yeah.
You like them? You got a favorite one? Like, how do you feel about them?
Oh, man. I mean, honestly, I'm not so familiar with her work, but I love Simple and Clean.
I just mean, I just mean
the Kingdom Hearts ones
too.
Yeah.
Oh, but also I just will say they will say anything in a song. Like I think one of the lyrics is like, "What a day, boy next door passed away." Like it's like very that vibe, or like
what a day though. Honestly,
what a day. Oh my God, one of their lyrics is, "You're easy breezy and I'm Japanesey."
All right.
If that
I'm not sure
tells you
that's PC,
anything.
but they said it, so
They said it, and they are Japanesey, so it's not my place.
yeah.
It's not my place. But
Wow.
Pop off,
and
though.
also the version of Simple and Clean that's in Kingdom Hearts is like a remix. Is not the original version of the song. And it has like a crazy intro. Like I don't know if you've ever listened to just the uncut
You're giving
version.
me too many things lately.
First of all, the beginning of the song is like 3 minutes of just the like
yeah.
Like the song doesn't start for a long time.
I would say Simple and Clean was probably like composed first and then they put lyrics on top of it later.
Well, the other part I think about in the booth all the time is like the slower version at the end. There's a part where they're singing and it's like the things that we like, this and that and that keep us, and I'm just like, okay, pop off.
This is what I'm saying. Like they will say anything in a song.
It's not about the textual meaning of the lyrics. It's about the
they
vibes.
just be saying shit.
Oh my God, they be saying.
Well, that reminds me of like, there's like a famous story about the song September by Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Hell yeah.
And how, the music was composed first and they were trying to figure out like what to do in the body, like that section. And the songwriter just kept being like, yeah, maybe we can try these words. And they were like, no, it's badia. And they're like, well, maybe we could try something else. Like maybe it can be, no, it's badia. Like sometimes it just works. Like sometimes you just kind of like, I think that is sort of a weird thing about songwriting is like there are a lot of people that are very focused on like lyricism and I'm this way where I'm like always trying to squeeze in the perfect thing, but like sometimes it doesn't matter. And I think that Simple and Clean is a beautiful example of that. Like it doesn't need to be the perfect word.
I found the exact saying. The daily things like this and that and what is what that keep us all busy are confusing me. And honestly, agreed.
I felt that.
I couldn't agree more.
Like this and that.
But you know what?
Is
It's like simple as.
Yep. Do you have any other like favorite tracks from a Kingdom Hearts game?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I mean, I'll throw this out because you haven't learned this about me yet. I walked down the aisle at my wedding to Dearly Beloved, the main menu song.
I mean, I do love Dearly Beloved, and it's like kind of amazing how just like subtly that song was like revamped in every game.
But every time it always feels like the overture to the musical.
Oh, 100%. And it's like, I forget which game they added, like it might have just been Kingdom Hearts 2, but they added like a really gorgeous like intro.
They did, and then they did it again in 3. They add a new layer every time.
Yeah, it feels like home. And I think it is this really cool and insane choice. Like it's just this, that's your first introduction to the game. It's like this very beautiful and sad and mysterious like piece of music. I think Dearly Beloved is my favorite.
Yeah.
I think that's the kind of quintessential song.
Yeah.
For me.
Hell yeah. Mayanna, what about you?
Honestly, I think it is. So there's a couple different variations of it. I call it Shion's theme. I believe the actual name for it is Vector to the Heavens, which is insane.
Sick.
The classic Final Fantasy ass track titles.
100%. And specifically, the version where you are fighting her at the end of 358/2 days, that fight, and also like as a girly to be represented in a final boss fight, my God. But also like just there's something about that theme and her struggle, and I think how beautifully that theme encapsulates that struggle, and that like because it's like, well, you're a monster, I'm the guy with the keyblade, so this is only going to go one way, unfortunately, but because you have so much built up with her, and like as you're fighting her, she's transporting you to all these different worlds that you went to together, and each version has like a different phase of the monster that she's becoming. It's just so haunting and so lovely, and they really ate with that one, and I really hope they remake 358 at some point, because what an accomplishment to tie music, narrative, mechanics so beautifully together, and the context of that relationship. And I think the song really, really delivers on that. And then my secondary choice is Working Together. I've been listening to it weirdly nonstop. I find it very inspiring. I find it very like fun and playful. And because it's your moment where you're coming back to playing as Sora for the first time since the tutorial. It just feels like such a rallying cry, and it's just like a march towards this fun adventure you're about to go on. So
yeah, it does have that marching snare that really makes you feel like, okay, we're back to work.
Yep,
here we go.
back.
And it's like peppy.
We back.
I love that.
I definitely agree with that, with both of those. Working Together, iconic. Like truly, if you want to like clean your house for an afternoon, just throw Working Together on.
So true.
In the background. I mentioned Organization 13 themes before. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Chopin, and this really feels like a lost nocturne of his in a cool way. The other one I just want to call out real quick is Twilight Town's like theme, Lazy Afternoons.
Lazy Afternoons.
So beautiful.
It's so cozy.
I do think that like also like Roxas's theme, everything that kind of the whole like Twilight Town section of the game has really beautiful music.
That's what I was going to say. That like Lazy Afternoons has this like sort of main line melody played on an oboe that really like pops out but still feels calm. And then later Roxas's theme uses that same oboe in like a minor turn with I believe the song's called The Other Promise, but in my mind it's always Looks Like Our Summer's Over. I think that's one of the most tragic lines in the whole game. Looks like our summer vacation's over.
And it's September now, and when we're recording this, and it's summer, our summer is over.
And so the way that like Lazy Afternoons like is the set, and then that song is the emotional spike is just really good. Yeah. So
damn. Well said.
And also shout out to the Hollow Bastion themes.
Yeah,
everyone
the
agrees
Hollow
that they
Bastion
slap.
themes. So good.
Very cozy. Yeah. Or no, not cozy. I was thinking of Traverse Town. But
Traverse Town.
Traverse Town also very cozy. And that's something too, right? Like those plot relevant but safe worlds, as opposed to like the end of the world or the world that never was, where they're like plot relevant and dire. No, Hollow Bastion fits into that too.
Yeah.
But like the way that Traverse Town and Twilight Town are both very cozy, and that you return to them a few times and you're always like, hey, that music's playing, I'm home.
Yeah.
I think the Kingdom Hearts music in general did a beautiful job of feeling like a place you can come back to and feeling like a place you can call home. Even in the scarier themes, also just like it's a series that you can play and come back to. It just feels nostalgic in a lovely way. Yeah, and it's also just so fun to have you here, Mia, and like thinking about like...
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Just like all of these beautiful memories that these games have given our family and other people. It's just a good time.
Do you have any specific memories of us playing as kids?
Oh man.
Or like any fun stories?
Fun stories.
Because I was little.
I think about just when Kairi puts her hand on that drawing. I remember at the end of Kingdom Hearts 1, I remember like turning to you and we were sitting on Miles's bed and you were just weeping. And I remember at the time thinking, because I had a hard time crying when I was that age at stuff like movies and video games. And I remember being like, wow, I love that my sister is so in tune with her emotions and that this story has affected her in the same ways that it's affecting me. But I think it's so beautiful that she can access that and feel that so strongly. I think about that a lot.
I never knew that story. That's really sweet.
Yeah. Mia's the heart. Mia's the princess of heart. It's true.
I'm the crier for sure.
But I think that's beautiful. I think that's, and I think it comes across in your music. I think that your relationship with your own emotions and your emotional world is so poignant. And I think it's why you've been able to just craft beautiful worlds of art around it, is because you can access that place so easily. And I think it's very inspiring. So.
Oh, thank you. Love you.
I love you. Mia, to chronicle our travels, tell us a little bit about you so that we can record it in our own Jiminy journal.
Oh.
Where can the people find you?
You can find me on all social media as @PomPom Squad, like the cheerleaders. You can find my music on Spotify as PomPom Squad. You can listen to my album that came out last year called Mirror Starts Moving Without Me. And we can all have a great time.
Hell yeah. We'll be dropping you off. Yeah,
just for you though.
What world do you want us to drop you off at? Which Disney world do you want to go chill at while we fly off to our next destination?
That's a good. I'll go to Atlantica.
I knew it.
Oh, the music one, classic.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was also such a Little Mermaid girl growing up. I was the Let's Play Mermaids kid. Do you want to play Mermaids kid? My final question is, what color would your tail be?
Purple.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. You only say purple for
Sorry.
things. I feel like silver, like a marlin scales, so it's like shiny.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I love that. What about you?
Yeah.
I want like a pearlescent white.
Slay.
The Oathkeeper mermaid tail.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I just want to play mermaids with you guys, so I'm going to sign us off. Thank you so much, Mia, for being here. Mischa, thank you for co-hosting this podcast with me.
My pleasure.
Thank you to the listeners for listening, and as always, may your heart be your guiding key.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.